Understand legal rights. In order for children to become good self-advocates with the advocacy skills that they are learning, children need to understand that there are laws that protect them and give them the right to access the opportunities that are available to all citizens. They need to understand about IDEA, and they have a right to an appropriate public education that meets their needs and helps them develop the skills necessary to move forward and into adulthood. They can learn to start advocating for themselves by going to their IEP meetings and participating to the best of their ability. This will help them to understand and practice their rights. They could participate by speaking, showing a video, presenting a poster, writing a letter, whatever helps them to advocate for themselves and understand their rights. They also need help to also understand they have civil rights under Section 504 and ADA. They have a right not to be discriminated against based on their disability, and that they can be given certain accommodations and modifications in school, the community, or work to help them out. Understanding their rights helps give them more control over their own lives and to recognize when something isn't right and to speak up or tell someone. Self-advocacy and transition planning. No one has a greater stake in the outcome of transition planning than the student with a disability. Transition planning should be an ongoing opportunity for a child to continue to learn and practice responsibility and self-knowledge through the self-advocacy skills that they have been working on. Communicate. Being able to communicate clearly about their future desires. What works for them? Explain their disability by explaining that what they need and what they don't need. Being a part of all transition planning. Being a responsible team member by being ready to participate with ideas in whatever capacity they can. Be ready to ask questions for guidance and be ready to make their own decisions and to be assertive and not passive or aggressive. What ways can a student be ready to help self-advocate at his or her transition meetings? Being prepared is key to having a good transition outcome. Any way that a student can organize themselves will help them to have a meaningful role in all transition and IEP meetings. This is one way to help your child organize themselves by listing their strengths, their preferences, their interests and needs in a very easy format for them and others to refer to. Other formats can be used to capture the same information. The form doesn't matter, it's the content that does. Here is an example of a student that chose a different way to organize what he wanted to tell his transition team. He wanted them to understand his interests, his learning styles, what he wants everyone to know about himself, and the accommodations that work for him. Work with your student in helping him organize his thoughts on what he wants his transition team to know about him that will help him plan a successful transition plan. A little planning ahead of time will go a long way in the end. These are the self-advocacy skills we have identified that will help your child have control over their lives. We've talked about communication skills, the ability to know their rights, how to make good decisions, how to problem solve, the importance of learning about their disability, the importance of good choice making, the importance about safety, and how to build self-esteem. Everyone in a child's life should be helping him learn his skills his entire life. At home we can start as toddlers through adulthood. And when a child enters school, a self-advocacy goal should be on their IEP each year. Each year decide with your child's team which self-advocacy skill your child needs to work on that year. From year to year it may vary how many self-advocacy goals your child has, but there should always be at least one. These goals may or may not be stated as self-advocacy self-advocacy goals. They may be intermixed with other goals, but still cover the necessary self-advocacy skills that are so important for your child's success in having control over their entire life. Some examples of what some self-advocacy goals could look like on an IEP, such as Jane will respond assertively in a given situation. From a list of possible solutions, Abby will choose the best solution. Jamar will select between two choices using an eye gaze. I will learn from my decisions by discussing what happened and why and how I might have acted differently. An IEP goal could be, I will verbally explain to my teacher how my specific learning disability affects my ability to learn. Given practice sessions in school, I will talk about my strengths and weaknesses. I will explain 4 ways how the American with Disabilities Act protects people with disabilities. John will request a preferred task without prompting. These are a few examples of an IEP goal for self-advocacy. Look at your child's IEP and see if you can identify a self-advocacy goal that your child is currently working on. If there is not one, you may ask for that one be added.